Listen now, we the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. Ha. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Ha. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. We are, we're almost halfway through the season. It always feels like it goes by so fast, but we are going into week 8 of the NFL season, and hopefully I haven't watched back our last week's predictions. But how is our overall standings to this one?
Yeah, you might not want to look now. I actually beat you by 3 once again. I only had one incorrect prediction last week.
Wow.
That happened to be the Ravens and Bengals game, which we both picked. But we disagreed on Panthers Giants. I got that one. We disagreed on Chiefs Titans. I got that one. And we disagreed on the Colts and the 49ers. Yeah, it's not looking good for you.
That's not good, no.
70-65. I am glad to say that I am ahead.
I gotta catch up really fast. I gotta make something happen. I was starting with it this week though, because I know this week's gonna be good.
All right.
Thursday night, and this is the game of the week right off the bat here. Packers at Cardinals.
I wish this wasn't an island game, because Thursday night island games tend to suck. Like, rarely do we get a good shootout on Thursday night. They're usually low scoring. The guys are coming off of a short week, and it doesn't work out so well. So I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if this game plays out to be a shootout anyway, but it's going to be fun to just see what happens. It's going to be interesting either way. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are on fire. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are on fire. Like, both these teams are really just hitting their stride right now, and they're both humming. And it's going to be interesting to see which one actually throws the other one off course. So, it's a toss up to me. I think these teams are even. I'm going to go with the Cardinals and give them the 3 points at home.
I'm surprised that you think they're even, because they're like about the most uneven two teams you could ever pit against each other. That's like the epitome of just a quarterback and 52 traffic cones. I think I've said that a bunch of times, versus like a super team. This is like LeBron against the Warriors, and much worse because the Warriors actually had some more stars on that team. I mean, the Packers are 6-1 by some miraculous reason, and of course that miracle, we know exactly what that miracle is. It's Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, is in the MVP conversation again. We never thought he would be after week 1, but now he is. But the Cardinals are stacked to the teeth. I mean, you could take any one offensive player, like take one receiver of the Cardinals team, he's more valuable than the entire receiving depth chart for the Packers, especially with Devontae Adams potentially being out, and then Al Lazard also in question. It's just a mismatch everywhere but quarterback. And historically, we've seen that, Aaron Rodgers can overcome a lot of things. But I want to, call back to the past 2 NFC Championship games. You saw Aaron Rodgers with a Green Bay team that is not good go up against like a stacked super team. He was better than both the quarterbacks he faced by a mile, like Jimmy Garoppolo and Tom Brady. Like, there's no question there. But they were on super teams, and they got their heads kicked in because he couldn't bail them out. And I think this Cardinals team is on that level, and I think that's what's going to happen here. So I'll go Arizona as well. I also don't like that it's Thursday night. I wish that would be
exactly.
like a sort of primetime game.
It's probably going to be an ugly game, but I do think they are even. If you look at how they are winning, you add the stats side by side, these teams look even. Of course, it is mostly Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers makes up for that gap in the two teams, which makes them pretty much even so far this season. But of course, the Cardinals are at home, and they do. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about the super teams going up against the Packers, and it doesn't tend to work out.
We'll see if he can do it. I have my doubts, though. Bengals at Jets.
Oh, man, the Bengals. Do you believe that? That was ridiculous. Joe Burrow looks like the MVP right now. I bet he's going to be thrown into that conversation if he continues on this trajectory. And the Jets they're continuing on the dumpster fire trajectory. And, Wonder Boy is not even going to be in this game, I don't believe. I think he's going to be out for a few weeks at least, right? I guess Joe Flacco's coming back. There's no way. You can't take anything but the Bengals here.
Absolutely agree, man. When have we ever sat here week 8 and still had like more than 5 MVP candidates. When I made the poll, like I created the MVP poll again earlier this morning, I did not expect to be struggling with like even picking the 4 eligible options because there's so many you could reasonably pick. And the votes, by the way, over the past 2 weeks have kind of reflected that. We've never had like any consensus picks. There's most of the time there wasn't even a majority vote, so it's completely split. And Joe Burrow is getting into that conversation. I mean, he served up the Ravens, and I think he was the player of the week last week. I like the Bengals too. I think I might be rooting for the Bengals a little bit later on down the line. In this case, of course, no doubt you pick them. The Jets are still a terrible roster. Zach Wilson isn't even playing. Like he's going to be out with injury. The rebuild's still going on, and they'll need another offseason or two. Bengals win. Titans at Colts.
Now, at first glance, you look at their records and you're going to say, oh, the Titans are going to crush in this game. There's no way they wouldn't. The Titans literally killed the Chiefs. They made Patrick Mahomes look like Nathan Peterman almost. I ain't going to say it was that bad, but it was horrible. Like, they literally crushed the Chiefs. The Chiefs has not been this bad since I've been studying the NFL. At least not in the past decade or so. The Colts, on the other hand, are moving up. They are moving forward. They are getting better every single week. And I think a lot of that has to do with Carson Wentz learning this offense. And yes, he does throw some picks here and there. And Nyheim Hines literally gets crushed behind the line of scrimmage. So that does take away from the Colts here. I have to go with the Titans just because they are, they're heating up. It's like NBA Jam. They're heating up. They're going to be on fire soon. So I go with the Titans here. But I do think this is going to be a much closer game than anyone would think.
Yes, as far as the Chiefs are concerned, yeah, you're right. They have not been at this level for a long time. I think it was like 2013 where they took Eric Fisher at the first overall pick, and Andy Reid showed up and they kind of turned it around. But right now, serious concern, but we'll get to them later for this game. Tennessee. I think Tennessee has a more impressive win coming into this. A more impressive change was, they beat both teams that were in the AFC Championship game last year. I mean, if that's not an exclamation and sort of a like we're for real, then I don't know what is. You beat Buffalo and Kansas City back to back. That's not easy to do. So I'll take the Titans as well. Rams at Texans.
This is going to be great. Oh, I want to throw this in really quick. Derrick Henry might be in the conversation for MVP.
No, he's not. I know he threw a touchdown pass, but he's not a full-time quarterback. If you're not a full-time quarterback,
you never know, man. The trend could change. You never know. The Rams are going to roll right over the Texans like they've rolled over almost everyone this season. These guys beat the Bucs, for God's sake. Texans are horrible. They're not going to get any better. They're going to trade Deshaun Watson, and he's not playing anyway. Davis Mills is horrible. The Rams did not win that game as well as I thought they should have. They should have crushed the Lions and went home with their heads in their hands, but they didn't. But still, it's the Rams, and they're on the road here. It doesn't matter. It's the Texans. Rams take this.
Well, yeah, I can't really disagree, though I would like to, of course, Rams win. No, I won't sit here and take off the Davis Mills criticism, by the way. Like, compare him, stack him up against the other rookie quarterbacks, maybe aside from Mac Jones. He's about on the average there. Being forced to start right off the bat. He's not doing too bad. The team's bad, but you can't earnestly say he's a worse player than Zach Wilson or Justin Fields at this point. A lot of work to do, obviously. And he arguably has a worse roster than at least Justin Fields. But yeah, Rams win, no doubt. Steelers at the Browns.
Yeah, well, Justin Fields also has the coaching problem. Like, this is Adam Gase. The Matt Nagy effect is almost the same as the Adam Gase effect. I'll throw that out there. Steelers are coming back off of a bye here. So hopefully they're rested up. The Browns are not looking good right now. They are beat up. They barely eked out a win last week on Thursday night against Denver, who is just worse, really. The Browns were actually on a great trajectory at the beginning of the season, but they are headed downhill fast. The Steelers coming back, I think, should be able to take this one on the road. I know you could say it's going to go either way, and it really could, but I'm going to take the Steelers here.
Well, I would like to take the Steelers as well on this one, but I won't for two reasons. One, I think the Browns have the better defense, and they're going to. It's not going to be an exciting game, and probably not one that a lot of people are going to watch in this window. But I think they're going to prevail. And I know they've had a lot of injury issues with the kind of banged up offense, but their offensive line is intact, and they can run the football. We've seen they can run the football with anyone apparently, which I kind of hinted at last year already when I made a breakdown video of their running game. It's really offensive line centric. Now, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb are great players, but you talked about Ernest Johnson last week. I believe also you
he came through.
Yeah, you touched on him in your fantasy show. He came through big time, and it's a lot up to that offensive line. I think that's the key matchup. Of course, you get the offensive line versus that Steelers defensive front, which is probably the strongest unit on that team as well. I think if the Browns can run the football, I think they will be able to. They're going to win the game, and that's what I'm projecting. Also, the other reason is I have to start disagreeing with you because I have to catch up, so I need to pick the Browns. Eagles at the Lions.
Oh man, Tank Bowl. This is truly a tank bowl for one team more than the other. The Lions really need the number 1 overall pick. There's no way they continue with Jared Goff beyond this season. It's not possible. But on the other hand, Jalen Hurts probably is done after this season also. It's going to take some kind of miracle for Sirianni to actually want to keep Jalen Hurts after this season. Yes, he can run the ball. The guy can't pass. He has no accuracy. He can't read defenses. He's just running for his life and tends to make plays here and there. And every now and then he'll throw it up and a receiver will come down with it. But overall, the Eagles are better than the Lions right now. I'm going to take the Eagles on the road.
I'm not even sure that they are much better than the Lions, but I've said this last week, Lions haven't won. They have to win before I can pick them. No, actually, they played the Rams pretty close, like much, much closer than they should have. And the Rams did not cover that spread. It was closer to 3/4, which was kind of surprising. But Eagles, I'll pick the Eagles as well. Though I think this is a chance, maybe at least. If you want to stop being winless, maybe this is the week to do it, but I don't think so. Niners at Bears.
Yeah, tough one. Tank Bowl. This is a tank bowl right here. Yeah. Unfortunately, man, the Niners have fallen from grace. And it's not like it just happened this year. Niners were beat up last year. You know, they took a hard nosedive, and they haven't been able to dig themselves back out yet. And I don't see it getting any better anytime soon. But, however, the Matt Nagy effect is in play here. And overall, it's Shanahan versus Nagy, both with their less than mediocre teams right now. You guys have Debo, which that's a plus in your direction. And you have the coach, so I'm going to go with the 49ers on the road.
Man, I'm going to be a real doomer about this one. I'm going to pick the Bears. And I actually decided on this. Like, the moment that game in Indianapolis ended, like, so poorly, I decided I was going to pick the Bears, despite Justin Fields, despite Matt Nagy, because you mentioned tank bowl, which is kind of true, or kind of luckily, I guess. Neither of these teams really needs to tank for a quarterback, so they're not reliant on, like, a super high pick. But I believe it's in the best interest for the Niners to tank this season. And I also believe that Kyle Shanahan is a season and a half away from being on the market. Because I saw some stats on this. This is his fourth season now? He's had one good season, three bad seasons. Not just like average or like made the playoffs, lost early. No, like bad seasons. And his offensive like productivity of the I saw this today for the 49ers for the last 4 years was like 21st, 20th, then 2nd in the Super Bowl year, and then 20th again, and on average is like 17th. So like he's the definition of mediocre so far over his time with the 49ers, right in the average of the league, and that's not what he's there for. So you got another full year for sure. You got the argument of Trey Lance, coming up. You'll be able to play him for a season. But then you have so much talent in this roster, you're going to have to win. Like, the Niners have to make the playoffs next year. They're not going to make it this season, but next year they're going to have to make the playoffs. If not, there might be danger afoot for this coach, which is weird to even think, but they should get it together. Now, this season I'm kind of giving up on, especially with how strong the NFC West is looking right now. So I'm going to pick Chicago. I have to disagree with you anyway, but I legitimately think... you never know what 49ers show up, right? You could get the really good ones, the ones that like hang 38 on the team in one half, like we got week 1, or we get the ones that just give up more pass interference yards than passing yards, and there's no point in even playing. So just too volatile to pick them. I'll go with the Bears. Panthers at Falcons.
Speaking of two teams that will need QBs next year, and maybe the Niners and the Bears don't, but the Panthers obviously will at this point. I mean, we saw P.J. Walker playing there. They put 3 points up in this game. Is it all Christian McCaffrey? Is that what it is? I mean, they cannot win without Christian McCaffrey? What happened to Sam Newton? The guy can't even run anymore. Like, what happened? How do you look that good in 3 games and then just fall off a cliff and look like you're still under Adam Gase here? Is it Matt Rule's fault? What is this? On the other hand, the other side of the field, we have the Falcons who I don't know, if Matt Ryan actually pulls this together. I know we're still barely winning these games, and the Falcons defense is still letting every single team come back in the fourth quarter, which gets really old. I'm tired of seeing it. But if we continue to put up 30 points a game, Matt Ryan might find himself in Atlanta for yet another season next year. But in this game here, I don't see the Panthers getting it back on track. I'm going to go with the Falcons at home.
To cut it short, or to answer that question for you, yes, it is Christian McCaffrey, and this is not rocket science. By the way, you can see, everyone can see that as like a regular fan. Don't you have to be an expert or versed with football film? You can see it just comparing like the first 3 games versus the last couple games. Defenses treat them differently, and this is also to answer your other question: where's Sam Newton? Right, you have less success as a runner if you're the most dangerous runner on the field, and that's what he is at the moment for Carolina. If Christian McCaffrey, who is the most dangerous runner in the league, is on the field, stuff opens up a lot more, because defenses are baited into focusing on McCaffrey in the run game, and that's what opens it. That's what really opened all those opportunities up for Darnold to run by himself in the first 2 weeks, and they are going to be hell-bent on getting him back. It's really the catalyst of the offense, and that's what's going to have to happen for them to make it back. So he better come back soon. He's, by the way, also interesting statistic, Christian McCaffrey has played 7 games since 2019. Not a good outlook being the face of the franchise. So he's going to have to stay healthy, come back soon and stay healthy, because he's the key to the offense. Also, the defense has been one of the best in the league for the first 3 weeks. I mean, no one could run on them at all, and they have completely collapsed. Also, it's not just on the offense, but the defensive side as well. I used to praise the defensive line for 3 weeks straight, and now they really have to catch themselves. I picked the Panthers to go 5-1 within their division this year. That was kind of assuming, of course, McCaffrey would stay healthy, which maybe a bit of a risky one, but I don't like what Matt Rule is doing at all. With the quarterback switcheroo. I'm not sure what he's trying to do. He's trying to create some controversy. You're not unironically going to play anyone over Sam Darnold. Not PJ Walker. Not anyone you have right now. It makes absolutely no sense, other than if Darnold was banged up or you wanted to protect him, pull him out from the game because you're going to be blown out, which was also not really the case. So I really disagree with that decision. He's still by far the best guy you have, and he's going to have to start this week, hopefully. But a lot of disruption, a lot of chaos going on. So I will actually pick the Falcons because, believe it or not, the Falcons have been kind of trending up, haven't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They've been getting better, that's for sure. And it all correlates with Kyle Pitts breaking out.
Yeah. Maybe their winning record is on the horizon. And, man, Kyle Pitts is fantastic. Like there's big parts of the Falcons offense you can't even tell that it's not Julio, and I really mean that.
And he's being used as an X receiver rather than a tight end, which actually works out. You know,
He's
he wouldn't have
taking
broke
that
out.
role.
Yeah, I don't think he would have broke out this season if they kept him at tight end. But putting him on the outside, yes, he is at home there.
He's going to mold into that role, and a couple years down the line, he might be the Julio replacement. Dolphins at the Bills.
Oh man, Dolphins at the Bills. I do think, even though they are not winning, I think Tua is getting better in each game. It's hard to believe. I don't even know that. Almost said Todd Bowles. Flores is actually seeing that, and he could trade for Deshaun Watson at any time, because I don't think Flores has any patience whatsoever, and he especially is not going to give any leeway to Tua if he doesn't start actually winning games. But I see it. He's getting better. Maybe it was just the Falcons defense. They're just that bad. I don't know. The Bills, took a bad loss. They're coming off of a bye, but this is in Buffalo, so they should definitely have an advantage here. But I could see this game being played close. I'm going to go with the Bills, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins keep this game really close.
Yeah, to take it away, I'll go Buffalo as well to win the game. I think they're a better team. I will say one quick thing, because you hinted at it though. There's been this kind of subculture developing in NFL circles, which I really despise, and it's like quarterbacks are basically on their way out if they're not like MVP caliber their first year when they come in. It did not used to be the case, and I still like to think that any rookie quarterback should get a solid 3 years, that is 3 seasons in a solid environment before we evaluate if they're actually good, or if they're bust, or if they're great, or whatnot. We're seeing this with rookies now. We're seeing people talk about Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, like they're busts, they're failures. What? Are you gonna say Trevor Lawrence is bad? Are the Jaguars gonna draft a quarterback next year because Trevor Lawrence didn't get into the playoffs year one? It doesn't make sense to me. And this is Tua, by the way. He hasn't started a full season cumulatively. He's just getting into this whole thing. And by the way, he's not doing it in a very good environment. If you remember kind of Josh Rosen, this was where he was shipped off. The Dolphins have not had any sort of winning culture going on. In fact, people who left there tended to get better. Look at Ryan Tannehill for an example. So I think this trade that they're proposing with Deshaun Watson to Miami, which I don't know, I have no idea why he would want to go there. Like it's always said that that's the one team he wants to get traded to. I have no idea why, because that's the one team that kind of rivals the Texans for being dysfunctional and knees deep in a rebuild. But and Tua being shipped off to anywhere else, I think that would be mostly good for Tua. Because he's got a different environment. I think this is going to be a major rebuild for Miami as well, and that's going to include head coaching change and a lot of draft capital being invested into that roster for a few years coming up in the near future. So I just wanted to make sure of that. And here are right away 2 of the quarterbacks that are partially to blame for being judged so harshly, because both of those guys look fantastic in their first year already, and also are needlessly hated by people somehow for no reason whatsoever. These are 2 quarterbacks people love to hate and disrespect. Patriots at the Chargers.
I feel like you're pointing the finger at me.
Not
when you
even
say
you.
People love to hate these guys.
I know you did. I know you did. Like before, you did too. You definitely fell into that category before the draft. But that was also partially because I overrated both of these guys before they quote unquote broke out. So it's fair. But still, like to this day, people will like criticize Mac Jones and Justin Herbert. And I don't understand it.
Yeah, well, I can't see anybody still criticizing Justin Herbert at this point. And yes, Mac Jones looked great last week. I mean, he's definitely not changing the course of the team at this time. But who knows? Maybe he's going to grow into it, and maybe he will build that rapport with Belichick, kind of like Tom Brady did. I don't know. You can't really say right now that he's going to be the next Brady, but it's definitely possible, and it's on the table right now. So if that does happen, I'm still going to have to hate him just by default, because if you call him the next Brady, I'm going to hate the guy. So let's look at it that way. Chargers coming off that horrible loss and a bye. Patriots are coming off of a big win. So you would think going into this that the Patriots have the edge, even though it's on the road. But I think the Chargers are much better than that loss to the Ravens. And the Chargers should easily roll right over the Patriots. The Patriots have 3 wins, and they are 2 not good teams. The Chargers have some definite top shelf wins under their belt. Gonna go with the Chargers here.
I do agree. I'm gonna trust in my MVP caliber quarterback over the rookie, who, by the way, is the best rookie so far. But Justin Herbert should just outclass his entire team. Has Tom Brady ever put 50 on the Jets? I'm wondering, right? I mean, he's won a bunch, but is Mac Jones the next Tom Brady? I mean, stylistically, he already is. Like, in a lot of other ways, like not being athletic, generally disliked, just making up for it with his like good quality, like understanding and awareness, and just leading a team, game managing to a perfect degree. That's what he does. No, success wise, is it going to be the next Tom Brady? Probably not, because he'll need 20 years to do it. But who knows? And the truth, you don't hate him because of that. The truth is, you start hating him the second he committed to Bama, and no one else is going to tell me any different. That's the truth of it. I'll take the Chargers as well. I think Patriots are underrated. Their record probably reflects less than what they actually are, but I think they'll end the season at about 500 or kind of around that mark and going up from there. But the Chargers are a playoff team, so I'll take it. Jaguars at the Seahawks. Tank bowl.
Yeah, definitely a tank bowl. I will say this, though. Mac Jones has to be disciplined, if nothing else. Look, he's playing under Saban and Bill Belichick his entire career. Like, he has to be one of the most disciplined quarterbacks ever. So he's got that going in his favor. Tank bowl. I think the Jaguars are trending up and the Seahawks are trending down. Russell doesn't seem to be coming back this week, so I don't expect the Seahawks to pick it up with Geno back there. You still got some weapons on the field, but Geno can't really utilize them as well as Russell did. Jaguars, I think Trevor is just going to get better throughout this entire season. I mean, we saw them beat Tua last week, so they should continue on this trajectory. I think they go to Seattle and actually win this game.
So this is one of the games where I think I had one last week as well, where I actually wrote down or decided I was going to pick whichever team you didn't, which in this case is going to be Seattle, because, man, Seattle's really been going down. This is kind of a parallel development with the Niners, actually, which is really interesting, because we thought this division would be super competitive, and it's like a very turning into sort of a very clear split, like class split, basically. You have the Rams and Cardinals for excellent, and the Niners and the Seahawks who are just falling from grace right now. So I'm gonna go Seattle in this one. I don't have a strong opinion either way, especially with Smith, who is like serviceable as a backup, but nothing like in terms of a high quality starter. Big downgrade, of course, from Russell Wilson. And the Jaguars do have potential to get better, but this is not a game I would be willing to bet on either side, so I'll just take Seattle. The Washingtons versus the Denver Broncos.
Tank bowl. We got a lot of tank bowls this week.
Yeah, I count it. I would count it.
Yeah. Hey, Washington is not good with Taylor Heineke, and the Broncos are not good with Teddy Bridgewater. How many seasons can we do this? We go into a season saying, you know what? Teddy Bridgewater might just put it together this season. This might be the one. He's going to bounce around from team to team and going to get these starting jobs. Sam Bradford, but the guy is really good. Like, maybe with this team it's going to work out. Maybe he's just not good. Maybe Sam Bradford was just not good. I am going to pick the Broncos here because I still think I think this is a toss-up, and I'm just going to give them the 3 points for being at home. But both of these teams might lose this game somehow.
And by the way, another quarterback who's kind of a victim of what I said with the overly quick judgment and not giving him 3 years, Drew Lock. Where is he? Does he still exist? He's in the league. Wait, is he sitting? When Teddy Bridgewater, who's like the journeyman is kind of being mediocre for you, and you have the young guy, just give him another year. You're going to draft someone anyway. right? And yes, Teddy Bridgewater, he's exactly that, right? He's just good enough to make it again and again and again, but he's not good enough to really finish. And that's sort of the Ryan Fitzpatrick, the Josh McCown sort of picture. And he's going to be in the league for 10 more years. And he's going to start, like, he's going to get starting jobs for like 4 different teams and then start for 1 season. Because he's not going to go to the playoffs or anything, but he's going to be fine. I'll pick the Broncos too, more because Washington's so weak and their defense has been clinically underperforming. They were supposed to be a top 5 unit, they're bottom 5 so far this season, and that's kind of the downfall of this team. I think their record could be flipped if their defense lived up to their expectations. This record could be 5-2 instead of a 2-5, but since it's not, no reason to expect big changes there. So Denver for me. Bucs at Saints.
Yeah, man. The Saints won that game last night, but they did not look good doing it. And, oh my God, I wish these analysts would lay off of Tom Brady. Like, just give me one season where you guys are not talking about how Tom Brady is going to win the Super Bowl until he's 75 years old. Just one season. The team, this is a Supers team. How many times have we said it? This is the team doing this. They just needed a serviceable game manager who doesn't throw picks, and that's why this team is that good. It's not all Tom Brady. People are saying that Tom Brady is the MVP frontrunner again. He has a better team than everyone else that is in the MVP conversation. Well, that's kind of comparable.
You let Brady choose between the Bucs and the Cardinals, so probably like depends on how he feels on that day. But like they're pretty close. But other than that, yeah, I agree.
As long as he could bring Gronk over there, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
But the Bucs should win this, and overall they are a better team. And we got Jameis here that could throw a pick at any moment and could go a whole game without throwing a touchdown. Who knows?
So I mentioned just like earlier today that Jameis Winston has definitely climbed up on my board of people I generally like for beating the Seahawks, which is always good. And I generally do. I kind of like Jameis Winston anyway. I don't no particular reason, but he's just one of those guys I tend to like. And this would be a big one too if he beat the Bucs, like his old team. At New Orleans here, starting quarterback for the Saints, and he actually beat Tampa Bay, he would continue climbing up that board. He would be one of my favorite quarterbacks at this point, and he's going to have one of those performances that we know he can have, because we know he's immensely talented. He's just never been able to turn off the inner Brett Favre, where he throws picks, which, by the way, is a great comparison for him now, after enough years in the league. He's just a slightly worse, on average, Brett Favre. Which is exciting if it works and can be detrimental if it doesn't. I hope it does. I won't put my money on it though, so I'll take the Bucs because they're just the opposite of that. Tom Brady is the embodiment of consistency. You know exactly what you're getting. You're getting good play, you're getting clean play, and you get that supported by a good team, which is the smart money. So I will take the Bucs as well. Cowboys at Vikings.
Yeah, and that will be a revenge game, by the way, so who knows? Yeah. Cowboys and Vikings, one team is doing excellent, the other team is exactly mediocre. They have an exactly mediocre quarterback, and that's why they have a mediocre coach. And this guy, this is what he does. I think his overall record's going to be 8 and, well, I guess we can't go 8-8 anymore. Maybe 8-1. We'll go with that. That's what the Vikings are going to finish. Cowboys, I mean, I don't necessarily like the Cowboys either. I know your feelings about them, but I can't help but see how good they have gotten. And maybe it'll take a turn for the worse at any moment. But right now, they are excellent. Their offense is humming, and they still have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. I'm going to pick the Cowboys on the road. They shouldn't have a problem winning this game.
And it feels like my entire season now is dedicated to the Cowboys not being successful and like actively trying to root against them as much as I possibly, because this is like the worst thing imaginable for the Cowboys to actually make a deep playoff run. It's not what I want to see. It's not what anyone wants to see. It's not what Mike McCarthy should be doing. Why is he doing it? I have no idea how they're 5-1. No one wants that. to be the case, but they are, and they're probably going to win again because the Vikings are very mediocre and they just run the football on everyone. Rooting hard for the Vikings, but I'm not expecting much success, so I will take Dallas to win as well. And this one, we have the Giants at Chiefs, and by the way, there is like with the results from last week, there's kind of a dark cloud over this whenever I try to like kind of think about how you might pick this. This is dangerous waters. So Giants at Chiefs.
And I'm really thinking about it right now. I really am. At first glance, it's just obvious. Pick the Chiefs. Like, there's no way around it. But hold on, because the Giants are better than a 2-5 record. That's a fact. I mean, look, they can pull out big wins sometimes. Whenever everything just molds in the right direction. Gels, that's the word I was looking for. When everything gels in the right direction for them, the Giants can beat decent teams, mediocre teams. I don't know that they're going to be top of the line, but however, the Chiefs are no longer at the top of the line. They're not at that pinnacle of the NFL anymore. They are really bad. But they still, 2 weeks ago, they blew out a team, and last week they got blown out. So it's tough. It really is tough. I guess I'll go with Vegas because I'm sure the Vegas still has the Chiefs way ahead of the Giants.
They probably do.
Probably 9-10 points, I would think. So I'll stay with the Chiefs because they're at home, I guess. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants win this.
It's ridiculous that we actually debate this, right? Like, start of the season, who would have thought we'd sit here week 8, and it's the Giants and Chiefs, and we'd be unsure on what to pick. It's kind of insane to think about that, but it's very possible that the Giants win the game. And by the way, if the Giants win the game, it is red alert for Kansas City. I feel like I've said this the last 2 weeks. If they lose, it's going to be red alert. If you lose to the Giants and you go 3-5, and you'll have the same record as the Giants at that point, you got some serious trouble brewing, and that is very much a possibility. They are at home. They're on prime time. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs as well, just because like all my logic tells me they should win. But you brought up Vegas. I'm gonna go check the odds after this, and if they actually have the Chiefs winning by like 7 or 8 points, I will take the Giants against that spread for sure. Put money in, because this should be much closer than people might expect just hearing the team names. Just from the realistic performances we've seen, that is potentially a very smart betting opportunity. I also will take the Chiefs though. So we had a couple disagreements. I'm going to hopefully catch up some points this week. We have the Raiders and Ravens on bye. Well deserved, I would say. And do you have anything else to add about these games first and foremost?
Not really about the games, but you kind of touched on it earlier, but I wanted to ask you a question. So now that we are so many years into the head coaching runs of these two guys, do we still see one of them as dominant? And or do we see them? Do we still see them on the same level nowadays like we used to? Or do we see one as dominant and one as really an underclassman at this point? And I think you know which two coaches I'm talking about.
I know, and I will answer the question without even dropping the names. No, I can't because we have to mention the names. So it's interesting that like they kind of both had a period of like whenever one is really good. Okay, I'll just name the names. Whenever Sean McVay's doing really well, the Rams doing really well, the Niners are kind of really bad, and then they switch around, and the Niners are a super team, and the Rams don't even make the playoffs, and they go nowhere. So they've been fluctuating a lot, and of course they both haven't had very stable quarterback situations. The Lions because Jared Goff was not good, the Niners because revolving door of injuries. The Rams have figured it out, I think, now for the intermediate term with Matthew Stafford. He's not injury prone. He's very good. I think they're set. For the Niners, they're still kind of that year behind, like they were from the start. It's interesting, but like just from the start, we said the Rams and Niners are sort of a year apart because Sean McVay came in and the Rams started being pretty good because they had a more complete roster. Niners took sort of a year, traded for Jimmy Garoppolo, kind of start building up that roster to to pull after them. And even their Super Bowls were a year apart, with the Rams going first. And then they kind of both fell into that hole after that. I think it's going to take another year for San Francisco, as like I said, with Trey Lance. He's going to have to make it work probably next year. They most likely won't keep Jimmy around with just being as unreliable as he is. You never know when he's going to be available or when he's going to be hurt. And the Niners are going to have to make the playoffs next year. Rams are in win now mode. Niners are going to be in win soon mode. But it's hard to. It's still kind of hard to compare them, and I think it's going to take a lot longer. I know they face each other a lot. I think they're pretty even against each other in terms of records. If I'm not mistaken, they might even be exactly 500 with the Niners and Rams. It'll take a little bit more. I know Sean McVay has a better record right now. That's because the Rams were better early. But I think we have to wait. We have to wait more years. If they both are sort of long-term stable in that job, and for Shanahan it's going to depend on these next 20 games or so that he's coaching, they'll be there for a while, and once they both get their established quarterback into their system and build from there, then we'll be able to compare. But I will not judge just yet. I will say that so far McVay's had more success, simply mostly related to the team, not necessarily to him being a better play caller. In fact, I don't think he is a better play caller. They're different in the way they design their run game, with the sort of more of the priority being on a running back in the McVay system, and more of a priority being on the schematic and the offensive line in the Shanahan system. So that's kind of my take on it. Do you have any like very strong opinion on it as well?
Well, I do see them. I mean, they've definitely performed very evenly, I would say, up to this point. You think about the Rams and the Niners both went to the Super Bowl in almost the exact same fashion in separate seasons, of course. Also using an inadequate quarterback like Jared Goff and an inadequate quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo. I almost said Jared Garoppolo. But so if you took that aside and looked at that just as a separate bracket somehow, you would say, yeah, these guys are pretty much even, and they perform about the same, given same situations. But I looked at Shanahan's coaching career as an offensive coordinator and found that I think he only had 2 winning seasons in all that time. He had a lot of 7-9 seasons and 8-8 seasons. And when he came to the Falcons, that first season was 8-8. Then he had that one spectacular season, and then he went off to San Francisco and did almost the exact same thing as he did as an offensive coordinator through the Washingtons and the Falcons. So, I don't know, man. I'm starting to lean towards Sean McVay these days. But I will say there's another name, and this guy may throw his hat in the ring coming up.
No. Actually, you could go one or two ways. I think one of them I would not disagree with, but I have a suspicion you're going the way that I was.
Well, he's definitely from the same family tree of coaches.
Okay. Does he happen to coach the greatest football player of all time, and his success is attributed exclusively to him?
Wait, who are we talking about? Bruce Arians?
No, I was going Matt LaFleur.
Matt LaFleur.
Okay.
Okay. No, well,
okay.
I was like, Bruce Arians is not. I'm glad. However, I'm glad you are not saying that Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. I will add that. No, I was going to say Zach Taylor. If these guys keep winning the way they are, this guy might throw his name in the ring eventually.
Well, okay, but he's kind of new to this whole winning thing, though. Like, let them have a full season. I would expect you to have gone Cliff Kingsbury over Zach Taylor.
Well, I was just thinking guys all in that coaching tree, and yes, LaFleur is one of those guys also. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of LaFleur either. He was okay.
Do something without Aaron Rodgers, right? It's kind of hard to judge.
Well, much like Shanahan, he didn't have a great record with Tennessee. Like, yeah, they made the playoffs once, I think, but it's not like he was doing anything spectacular, and Shanahan wasn't either with Washington and even the Falcons until that one season that vaulted him into stardom, and then he goes off to get his head coaching job and hasn't done well outside of one season. I mean, he only has one winning season as a 49ers coach, right?
That is true. I think I will end it though on this note, and just remember that all of these guys we're talking about for like head coaching purposes are still like extremely young. The most of the coaches that we kind of judge on their career, they're like in their 60s and 70s, right? They've been doing it for decades now.
Yeah.
And all these guys are still like at the very start of their coaching career, and they still have a lot of promise there. So I hesitate to judge coaches very early if they have shown success. Like I won't hesitate to judge a coach after 2 years if they have always been terrible. Like Adam Gase, for example. Like he's been losing in high school as a coach. He's been losing at the college level. He's been losing as a coordinator. He's going to lose as a head coach.
How did he make it that far?
I have no idea. I mean, high school teams got better after he left. That should not happen when you're an NFL.
Everybody
caliber.
does. Everybody plays well without the guy. Like, I have no idea how he made it to the highest levels of coaching in the entire sport of football and stayed there for quite some time without ever winning anything.
Kind of inexplicable, though I will say the Jets still haven't looked much better now that he's gone, so they have a lot of work to do as a team as well. So yeah, I'll wait with these guys. So far, McVay, of course, has a better track record than the other two, and that's largely attributed to him inheriting a better team than the other two, but give it 10-20 years, and I assume there's a reasonable high chance that they'll always be close.
Yeah,
because they're just similar minds, similar designers in terms of the offensive side of the ball, and they're gonna have, provided they'll have similar sort of situations, be able to build the teams the way they want to. They'll always be close, and they'll all be very good. But yeah, Zach Taylor's an interesting call. I'm excited for the Bengals for sure. Bengals is one of the teams that I'm rooting for. I find myself liking a lot of AFC teams and like not a lot of NFC teams.
Oh yeah, me too.
Randomly, but I hope one of those AFC teams is going to be, or all of them be successful.
I wasn't like a big fan of Joe Burrow, but lately I've been watching the kid and I'm like, wow, he actually is that good. Like, it's amazing to see. Yeah, he's really good.
He's a really good passer. And that's one of the other things, right? He's also one of those guys who just kind of like to be hated and generally underrated because he's not that athletic. He's not that, like, dual threat prototype like you saw with Justin Herbert when he came out, like you saw Mac Jones he came out. All those guys, like, these guys tend to not be so popular now that we've seen a generation of, Lamar and Patrick Mahomes, all those dual threat guys who are just have that extra element to them. But the pocket passing the pass first quarterback still can be successful, and they're still very, very good. And guys like Herbert and Burrow are showing that. So I think that's definitely a good thing to see. And Joe Burrow's great. I mean, if he continues like that, he'll be in the MVP conversation. And maybe in a few weeks we'll be able to whittle down Lamar. By the way, who do you vote for this week?
I'm still going with Stafford.
Still going to stick with Stafford. Mm-hmm. Would you stick with them if you lost, though? Because it was close. He didn't play super well or anything.
That definitely would take away from him. But I think overall, as long as he is finding ways to win, I don't know. It may be changing. It may be Joe Burrow soon if he keeps playing like he did last week. If he puts together like 9-10 games of that, then I would switch my vote to Joe Burrow. But
the thing is, there's like 5 people I could legitimately vote for. Like, I could totally agree with voting for Josh Allen. Like, even Burrow, definitely Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, and probably Kyler Murray are sort of the 5 that I'm thinking. I went with Josh Allen for this week because he had a bye week. So not much changing there. I just say Josh Allen's gonna be for this week, and but it could be like anyone. It could be just undecided. So more weeks needed, more evaluation. It could be a pretty close MVP race, which would be interesting.
Derek Carr.
No. Not Derek Carr. No, not Derek Carr.
They're back on that wagon, man. They are back on the wagon. The guy strings together 2 wins and Gruden leaves, and now it's back on the MVP race.
Not a single vote. But what I was gonna say, we could have a tight MVP vote by the end of the season, which we haven't had in a long time. It's always been pretty clear who's going to win it the last few years. So I would not be opposed to something like that. But do you have anything foreshadowy in terms of the fantasy world for us before we end it?
Absolutely. This week we're going to talk about running backs, all about running backs. I was going to make it about running back breakouts, but it's almost too much of a given that if a running back is good and he's in a good situation, it's going to happen immediately when they enter the NFL. Look at Najee Harris right now. But we're going to talk more and get in more in depth about the landscape of the running backs this season.
All right, I'm going to be watching that. My fantasy team is still not successful. I have another story of suffering to share there. I was debating between the Niners and the Packers defense going into this week. I picked up the Niners because I thought, the Packers played a weaker team, but the Niners have a better defense, so I picked the Niners. And before that Sunday night game, I was down about 8 points, and I needed the Niners defense to score me 8 points to win the week. They did not. They did not score 8 points. The Packers did, or would have done. So I lost again. I'm I believe 2-5 now. So I'm gonna have to pick it up.
We gotta get you turned around, man. That is unacceptable.
Had some injury, some bad luck with injuries. I had to bench David Montgomery, and then Odell gets hurt. Tyreek Hill was questionable, so some struggles there. But we'll see. I'll pick it up this week, maybe. Hopefully, I'll do my best. But I'll make sure to watch the Rehab offense coming up later on this channel, and you should as well if you're a fantasy player. Definitely worth subscribing for and sticking around. Let us know your picks for the games we discussed today in the comments as well. Who you got, what's your hot takes, and also your MVP. I definitely need to know. It needs some information gathering. That's why I'm doing these polls every week, because it's not clear at all. It's like very subjective matter at the moment who really is the MVP favorite. So I want to hear as many opinions as possible on that. Go vote on my community page on the channel. You can leave your vote for that. And other than that, we're going to see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard, ha, check.